Shelley Barclay. I chose this photo because of the detail. The beaver at Liz Hall Wetlands was super friendly and photogenic. I could have stayed all afternoon and made friends with him. Ruth Ryder. After many years, I finally purchased my first camera. I was excited to capture this eagle on my first time out. Yes, it was a very lucky shot.
This is one of my favorite images from last year, 2021. It's of my daughter Natalie and my wife Fran running in on the Violet Tendencies Trail in 6 Mile Coulee. It's kind of special because it's got great light, great colors on their clothing, and shows action and shows what my family does. We run.
Michael Dimnick. This photo is special to me as I seldom take landscape photos, but I was inspired to do so after various discussions at the photo club meetings, including one dealing with photo merging. I spent a glorious morning at the Japanese gardens last year, experimenting with various camera techniques, and later at home with photo merging. This photo is one of the results. I used Photoshop elements to do my photo editing, but I didn't adjust the saturation levels of the photos. The fall colors were intense enough. Mike Banchewski. I chose this image because it was taken at a location that always brings me great joy. The Vermilion Lakes, just on the edge of the Banff town site, always seem to inspire my photographic thirst. During my lifetime, I've had the privilege of spending maybe 40 sunrises, prowling the 3 lakes, trying to capture nature's splendor as it unfolds before my eyes. Lorelei. I've chosen this picture because it is the last picture of the day for the last wedding that I plan to shoot after 24 years. Such a hard decision to make, but now that some time has passed, I'm glad I made that decision. It's also a reminder of the pandemic and how it changed things, because the groom was sick with COVID shortly after the wedding. Judy Gunlock. My little twin grandbabies were born in January in Ontario, but because of COVID, I wasn't able to fly out there to meet them until June. This is my son Brett and his twins, Amelia and Everett. Every time I look at the photos, I'm filled with joy. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good shot of both babies together, so I made a composite. This is Kat Clement. This is a picture of my youngest child, Josh's youngest child, 5-year-old Frances Amelia, or F.E. as her daddy affectionately calls her. This isn't just a picture of a child joyfully playing in the leaves. Nana was joyful that she could be there to take the picture, in a park across the street from where the family is living in Rome, New York State. Frances's daddy is a lieutenant colonel in the RCAF and currently part of the Canadian contingent in the Eastern Division of NORAD, located in Rome. My husband John and I flew there to visit in early November 2021 after having not seen them for 2 years. My heart aches that I don't get to see Josh and his wife Allison and their 5 children as much as I like to, so I try to savor every moment when I visit. And yes, I try to take as many pictures as I can. I was in the park with Frances and her 10-year-old sister Marjorie and asked them to start throwing leaves in the air, trying different spots and different shots. Marjorie soon got tired of the whole thing and wandered back home, telling her mom and dad that Nana was making us throw leaves in the park. She was probably implying that clearly Nana had lost her mind. Marjorie might have been bored with the whole thing, but Frances just kept enthusiastically throwing the leaves for Nana. Ah, that's what I love about 5-year-olds. Out of the several shots that I took, this is the one I liked the very best. A little bittersweet, but it still brings up happy memories when I look at it. And so it's joyful to me.
Is this my best photo from last year? I'm not sure, but it is different. I usually process my black and white images in a traditional way. White whites and black blacks, sort of following the traditional S-curve, if you will. This one, I pushed the blacks far to the right. I was going for that wispy look on a very familiar scene, and I think I achieved it with this one.
George Clayton. Two reasons why this was a memorable photo for me. First, it's harder to get out with my friend and fellow photographer Chi Chang, as Jeannie, his wife, recently had knee replacement. They are both approaching 80, and my time with them is such a joy when out photographing. We took Jeannie with us as she enjoys both the full moon and sunsets. Secondly, Lexi reached out on Facebook and wanted to purchase a canvas print for the lobby of the building in the photo. I gave her the image and LA Gallery printed it for cost so the retirees who can't get out can enjoy the view within the view. Trevor Page. The Canadian Food Grains Bank 2021 food drive at Picture Butte. Harvesting grain in North America will be totally driven by AI before the decade is out. Doug Petru. This is one of my favorite photos of 2021 because I love the lighting so much. I was experimenting with long exposures using an ND filter, and although I saw something in this scene originally, the final result was better than I expected. The lighting in the water picks up the line of the water very well, in my opinion, and the light in the tree in the foreground adds to the photo. A bigger surprise to me was the very little Lightroom editing necessary to achieve this result. Chris Oates. I have often tried to take pictures of a Baltimore oriole. I always find that they are elusive and stick to the high branches and trees. On a camping trip to Little Bow Park, there were many orioles in the treetops around us, and so I got a few good shots. Then one day I saw one swoop down to some bushes near our campsite. I ran to the spot and got a few good shots, and then as he was leaving, got this one of the oriole in flight. Although it's not tack sharp, it was one of my favorite shots. Donna Kruger. Except for all the noise, this photo turned out just the way I had in mind. I love the warm complementary colors that the morning light brings, and I wanted to be able to freeze the action when the wings were spread and balanced and the neck was straight. I also love the detail and texture of the feathers and the ripples in the water. My patience and 1/2000th of a second aligned. Denise. The Newest Hiker is my favorite photo from 2021. This little guy, only just 2 on this very day, was enthusiastic about his first hike ever. He enjoyed looking at the flora and fauna as he encountered and smiled the whole way. He walked about half the hike, then took a ride in his dad's backpack, where nap time took over the last little bit of the hike before playtime in the mountain lake. Byron Lee, Leaves on the Line. I wanted an image that represented the colors of fall in a different perspective. I liked the vibrancy of the colors of the autumn leaves. The blue sky provided a nice backdrop, with the thin cloud cover providing an extra element in contrast. The simplicity of the image is something that I also really liked. Brandy. What I like about this picture is that it doesn't need much explanation. Whenever I look at it, it reminds me my daughter's excitement, innocence, and pure joy she felt the night before Christmas. Bev Weeb. We had an opportunity to take our grandchildren to Beyond Van Gogh last August. What a great adventure that was for them to see such a great display.
This image really stood out for me because I love the mood of it, and the fact that the deer was looking right at me. She was so interested in what I was doing. We were out walking the dogs at Indian Battle Park as we lost the sun when we came across some deer. Of course, I had my camera with me and my zoom lens, so I had Scott take the dogs and I followed the deer and took a bunch of shots. I was really happy with the lighting, and I just love the glow of twilight, and that's what really made this a favorite image of mine.
John Anvik. I chose this photo of my kids standing on top of a table that they made of ice chunks at Lundbrook Falls. I like the look of pride on my son's face and the smile on my daughter's face. It reminds me of how much fun my kids have exploring and playing with each other while we're out in nature.